Jesus Christ, arguably one of the most well-known names in the world, if not the most well-known. People of many different languages know this name. What comes to mind when you see or hear this name? Is it this picture? For most people it is, but who really is Jesus Christ? What if I told you the image commonly associated with Jesus was a complete fabrication? It may be hard to believe, and I don't blame you because it's been fed to all of us our whole lives. Even non-believers associate this picture with Jesus. But now it's time to expose the lies and bring forth the truth of the true identity of the Messiah. And it's not a white man, nor a Middle Eastern man either. Let me ask you a question. Does the current population of America reflect how this country looked before it was founded? Nope. If we were to travel back in time, before we call this land the United States, we wouldn't see any white people here, would we? But now the current face of America is majority white, although that is changing. For right now, that's a fact. So then, if someone from that time period were to time travel to now, they would have a hard time believing that this is the same land because the people don't look anything like they used to. So it's accurate to say that although the people currently born and living in America are technically American, we are definitely not a reflection of the Aboriginal people of this land. It's important to understand that because in that same manner, the people currently occupying the land of Israel do not reflect how the ancient people of those times looked. So to even say that the Messiah was Middle Eastern or the also ambiguous olive colored, what even is that? Have you seen an olive? But I digress. That is still inaccurate. The word tells us that the Messiah has hair like wool and feet like burnished brass. So we have not only his hair described as Negroid, he was also very melanated. So how do we get so far away from his description in his word to the current worldview of white Jesus? The answer is that his image was deliberately and diabolically whitewashed in order to steal a whole nation's identity and make that theft and deception believable. And it has worked almost flawlessly for centuries. But the Most High is revealing their lies and exposing the truth. There are so many layers of deception in this worldwide conspiracy that it's hard to tell where to begin unraveling the lies. But I think we should start with identifying who the tribe of Judah really is, since that is the tribe of the Messiah. I used to really hate history in school. It was so boring to me back then. But now, I see that history is where the real tea is. Take, for instance, this map of West Africa from 1747. If we zoom in, we see Negroland, which most of us have never even heard of, and the Kingdom of Judah. What's remarkable is this is the same area also known as the Slave Coast. Why was it called the Slave Coast? You guessed it, because that is the area that the slaves were stolen from. Now take a look at this map of Africa from 1771. Notice anything? Kingdom of Judah magically disappeared from the map. Wonder why that is. Could it be that someone doesn't want people to make the connection that the slaves were stolen from land that was named after the tribe of the Messiah? You betcha. What does slavery or the slaves have to do with Jesus and the tribe of Judah? It is key to unlocking the truth about who Jesus really is. The Bible tells us that after the Most High delivered the children of Israel from bondage up under Pharaoh, they entered into a covenant with him, agreeing to serve and worship him only. He told them that if they honored the covenant, they would be blessed above and beyond every nation on earth. But he also told them that if they broke the covenant, they would be cursed with numerous calamities, and proceeded to give a list of them. We won't read all of them right now, but please do take the time to read Deuteronomy 28 yourself. But we will take a look at some key verses that apply to one group of people and one group of people only, the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Verse 26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. When they lynched us, they left our bodies out on display for crows and other scavengers to come and do this to our bodies. 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. When our women were raped by the owners and overseers, it didn't matter if they were married or not. They took whoever they wanted. Slaves commonly built houses on plantations, including the White House, that had over 300 slaves to build this White House, but we were relegated to live in shacks. We did all of the labor of growing the food, but had to eat the scraps of what the slave owners didn't want. We never had the first fruits. 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Now, when our children were sold right in front of us at countless slave auctions and on plantations, we could not do a thing about it. We had no power to stop our children from being sold right from under us. 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. Now, the definition of a byword is an object of general reproach, derision, scorn, etc. An epithet, often of scorn. So, nigger, colored, tar baby, jigaboo, and every other racial slur that has been bestowed upon Black people in this country. And whether or not you're in America or not, everyone knows what the N-word means and who they're talking about when they use it. 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. We are the only group of people on earth to undergo the trauma of these curses, and this is known around the world from then until now. We can definitely be identified by our suffering. 48. Therefore shall thou serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And who else was in captivity with literal yokes of iron on their necks? 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And when we were taken captive, clearly we did not understand or speak English. We spoke Hebrew and other African languages. 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. We were sold and held captive as slaves in North America, South America, Europe, the Caribbean islands, all over the four corners of the earth. 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. From 1619 until 2020, 400 years, we don't even have the luxury of having a normal interaction with the police that doesn't end up with the possibility of our deaths. 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now this one right here, This verse right here is a mic dropper. Why? Because a lot is said in this one verse alone. First, it says they would bring them again into Egypt, denoting that this was not referring to their captivity with Pharaoh that he had just delivered them from. Then it says by ship. By ship. Now wait a doggone minute here. There would be absolutely no need to transport them by ship into Egypt from where they were located at the time and Mount Sinai, because it was already in Egypt. So what Egypt was it referring to? Well, it actually has dual meaning, as is often the case in the Bible. In Hebrew, Egypt translates into Mitzrayim, which also means bondage or house of bondage, aka slavery. Remember when I said in my previous video that this nation was never a Christian nation because of the slavery and murder on which it was founded? Well, there is an ideology in which this is perfectly acceptable: Freemasonry. And those are exactly the principles this nation was actually built on, and the spirit in which it still operates in. The founding fathers of this nation were all 33rd degree Freemasons. If you study the origins of Freemasonry, you will discover that it came directly from ancient Egypt, and that it involves magic and witchcraft in its practice. Now, the topic of Freemasons and their purpose is a whole nother discussion altogether, and one that we won't delve into now for the sake of time, but it is important to note the correlation as seen here on the back of our currency. Note the Egyptian all-seeing eye notating our first captivity, and America's eagle denoting our second one here in America. You see, the Freemasons know very well who we are and have conspired to keep our identity hidden from us. When we were stolen from Africa and scattered to the four corners of the earth, we never returned unto this day, have we? We are still scattered, are we not? We were sold into slavery, and no one redeemed us. We served our punishment fully. Now I ask you, when? When were the people currently occupying the land of Israel ever brought into captivity and scattered to the four corners of the earth? Don't worry, I'll wait. It didn't happen. But what did happen and was thoroughly documented was the transatlantic slave trade. Now, I've shown you biblical evidence that identifies the children of Israel by what would happen to them if they broke the covenant with the Most High, and they certainly did break it. We already know that the Messiah is of the tribe of Judah, and I have just shown you that the children of Israel are the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. So if Jesus is white, as the popular image proclaims, how are his people black? Even science tells us that we can get white from black, but never black from white. So the answer is quite simply, he wasn't. Now you may be thinking to yourself, what does it matter if Jesus was black or white? Oh, it matters. Believe me, it does, because if it didn't, they wouldn't have spent all the money that it has taken to keep the lie going all this time. It matters because white Jesus has been used as a symbol of white supremacy from its creation and is still being used to this day. And it matters because the Most High is the God of truth, and for far too long lies have been able to prevail over the truth. But today is a new day, and he is awakening his people to the truth of who we are in the land of our captivity, just like he said he would in his word. All throughout the Bible, in both the Old and New Testament, the children of Israel are spoken of, and it tells us that the Most High will bless those who bless his people Israel. So it does indeed matter who the children of Israel are. The children of Israel were never replaced by the church. He is coming to redeem his people. It also tells us that after the children of Israel are oppressed for 400 years, he will judge the nations that oppressed his people. then we should absolutely know who the children of Israel are, so that our eschatology, which is the understanding of the biblical timeline of the end times, we have to make sure that our eschatology is correct. In my next video, we'll see how the image of Jesus and other biblically historic people were systematically and purposely whitewashed over time, and also how the church may have played a part in this by omitting the Apocrypha, which was originally included in the 1611 King James Version of the Bible. Let me know in the comments if Jesus' race matters to you. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. It really does help my channel to grow. God bless. Shalom.